Aaron, what does success look like to you? How do you define it?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I think in life in general, and in my aspirations as a as an artist and for my career, the biggest part of success for me is getting to do something. Like, being successful is kind of like getting to do what you love and making a career of it.
Yeah.
Being able to come in every day and get paid to do something you love and create. I know there's a lot of, especially out here, people want the fame, maybe they want the money, some iteration of the two, and those things are great, but I think the best way to come about that is, kind of by staying true to yourself and your vision. I guess for me, if those things kind of come because people appreciate, the art and the things that I create and things I do, that's kind of the best case scenario. But as long as I'm doing what I love and, making a living, I think that's, kind of what success looks like for me.
Yeah.
What about you? Did you have any kind of vision of what that looked like when you came out here?
Yeah. I guess like my first thing was like, how can I make as much money as possible doing what I love, right? So
Sure.
yeah.
Everyone has to make a living.
Yeah, I can agree to that. And it's changed from how do I make the most money from this to being more so like the feeling, like how do I create like making money into not feeling like work,
Exactly.
So like that's what it is for me, and the numbers or the amount of support that to a certain extent matters, but more so like it's about like what I want and how like I feel about what I'm doing, for sure. Like that's success to me.
I agree, and I think I've always call it naivety or whatever you want to call it, but I think I've always kind of been a risk taker in that way. Like I like betting on myself, and
yeah.
If it's something that I really want to do, like I kind of just believe that I'll find that success. If you put in the work, if you have the passion for it, and you keep grinding at it, eventually somebody's gonna see it and appreciate that, and those other things kind of come later.
Yeah, and in this next journey with this artist that we have coming up, we get into what it means to make it in a big city, to make it in Los Angeles.
Really about enjoying the process and the journey and understanding that it's all part of a greater picture.
All right, well, on the podcast today we have multi-instrumentalist, singer, songwriter, performer, Pappa D. Welcome to India LA, Papa.
Hey guys, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, we want to get right into it. How did your musical journey begin?
Well, first of all, I am from Greece. Like I moved out here about 5 years ago for studies at Berkeley College of Music. So I was out in the East Coast, and it's been a long journey, to be honest with you. I started relatively old for a classical pianist, so to speak. I started about 12, 13 years old back in Greece, and I was doing piano lessons and learning all that good stuff, and it wasn't until early teens or right before going to college that I started getting into bands and started playing locally and realized I could sing as well and writing songs. So I feel it was all musical throughout. It just transformed to different music stuff. So classical music, then doing all sorts of bands, being part of choirs, and so classical training and jazz training, just getting all aspects of it, which has been very, very beneficial for me. Then it was college and doing all sorts of things there. I went for the music program, so I learned a lot about acoustics and sound, and had plenty of time to write and compose and learn about arranging and learn about composition and performance, classical performance, all the repertoire and stuff. So everything kind of was was working for me. So that in combination of having a lot of time to songwrite and study all the greats, the poets, the songwriters, because English is not my first language. So I felt that I had to do like extra work, and it never felt like work, which was a beautiful thing. Till I eventually got my scholarship and I moved to America for studies 5 years ago. And it's been a heck of a journey since then, I tell you that. Now we get to the most relevant stuff, I guess.
Well, quickly kind of jumping back there.
I know, I just feel like
as you said, I guess from a traditional standpoint, maybe you got into classical piano a little bit later than most people. You said you were in your teens.
Yeah, well, I guess, because the standards, if you want to become a concert pianist, you start as a kid and you study all of that repertoire and you do competitions and stuff. For me, it was always about a twist, a tweak. I was just an improviser since the beginning. Like I would get a song that my teacher would give me, and I didn't really like it or want to learn it. So, I would be like, oh, I think this sounds better this way, and I would just change it. So it kind of started establishing the idea for me that I needed to start writing and learning how to write and working on this material.
What drew you to the instrument?
To the piano?
Yeah.
Well, this is actually a funny story because my mom would, go to the hairdresser. She'd take me with her sometimes, and her husband was one of the most prestigious. He still is to this day, but at the time was one of the more prestigious pianists in Greece and the Balkans, like super well-known jazz pianist, classical pianist, really high looked upon, especially in a small city that I come from, which like 30,000 people or something. I don't even call it, it's a city, probably it's a town. And my mom would just take me there, and I would just kind of sit and just play with clay or something, just kind of keep myself occupied. But I was using my hands a lot. She saw the flexibility and like how delicate my fingers were. She's like, why don't you start him on the piano? And I was definitely the more musically inclined, because we started with my sister at the same time, and she didn't really like she had the dedication. She could see it in practice and stuff, but I never really practiced in the early days because I just didn't like the songs. For me it was very, very felt, and bear in mind, I'm not coming from a musical family, so when like my mom or dad, like nobody's a musician, like they love to sing, and
you didn't have someone like closely to kind of relate it to.
Families were like, kids were like brought up in like music families, and the parent might be like a famous musician or an artist, or so but we had love for music, and there was always music in the house, in the radio and stuff, and they were just great supporters. Like I think they wanted me to have these opportunities, and and I think about that now, it's like crazy. It feels like a lifetime ago. It wasn't even 15 years, but it's more than half my life, and it's just nice to, I guess, look back sometime and like see how far you've come, although it might not look like it, because we're nowhere near where I want to be, but at the same time, it's really about enjoying the process and the journey, and understanding that it's all part of a greater picture. So sometimes just look back a little bit and be like, wow.
Yeah, maybe when you like step back, you really have made a big journey to this point.
Yeah, but it's just about the journey itself rather than the destination. You start as a kid and you don't really realize you want to have a career in music, or you want to pursue it professionally, or what that even means. I mean, I still don't know, like, what does that even mean,
Yeah.
And a lot of these things I realize now teaching kids how to play the piano, and I just realized, wow, these kids definitely don't have in mind to pursue a professional career in music. They just love to play. So it's something I feel that I can implement and like inspire others to do as well. Keep it fun, like keep wanting to explore, wanting to write, wanting to just play the instrument. I never say practice. I practice a lot. I play. I just sit and play, and writing is part of that. That whole idea of expression, putting the words next to each other, and next thing you know, you have a song. If the curiosity and the fun remains, it never feels like work. Like I don't feel like I'm working now. You know, it just feels organic, and it's almost like you have to do it. So I feel this is kind of something that, you know, you move into America, all of a sudden you're far from home, things are harder, you gotta work, you gotta figure out your life, how to stay, all that kind of stuff, and that's going to take a toll on the inspiration. Because people say, oh, the hardship, it's going to inspire a good song and all that kind of stuff. And I've been thinking about that, and I'm not so sure about it, because I feel it's like a shock. It kind of happens to you so instantaneously that it's kind of hard to artistically reflect that right away
when you're so close to it.
Yeah. It's like that painting. You know, you're like looking at it so close. You're like, what is happening? You go back and you see like the whole picture. So definitely writing from a point of view where something has happened. It's a feeling, and it's just felt. It's been externalized, and then you just kind of take it and reflect upon it. But as far as that, I feel the inspiration. I mean, you need to kind of have some things in your life, some sort of stability, or you know, so you can like really allow the art to be chaotic and all over the place, and be able to be inspired, have some things in order, so to speak. Yeah.
There's kind of a structure within the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you talk about like having fun with it, and you know, finding like the love in it, but how do you overcome like those hardships, and what are some of those hardships that have like shaped your journey?
Well, it wasn't the language, and I never felt like, oh, I'm an immigrant in America or whatever, you know. Like I was very well received. I was on a scholarship. They wanted me here, you know. The school wanted me here, so for me it was not that, you know, American dream, so to speak, where like, you know, somebody comes here and they work all these, you know, day jobs and trying to get by and stuff. But on the other hand, we all kind of had to do that. Like I don't come from a rich family, so moving out here, you know, you get a little bit of support. I had the scholarship, but you know, you got to figure out rent, and you got to figure out school, and you got to figure out all these things. So we all did like odd jobs here and there, and trying to get by and pay the bills. I think what blocked me the most was not just necessarily that, but also like life changing so much. I always dreamt of coming to America, but I never really knew how it's going to be. So I did have also a long distance relationship at the time overseas, and that was not fun. And
Those are hard.
Yeah, I started, you know, catching up on that, and it was more for me the hard part and the beautiful part at the same time. It was more about giving up the skill and the knowledge and all that kind of stuff that I had and I was bringing from Greece, which was the things that put me into school, and understand and think that this is an opportunity of a lifetime. What can I learn here that there's no way I would have learned in Greece? So I just really detached of all those things and all these barriers, and came here as a student, because I wanted to learn how to arrange and all this jazz stuff and production. You know, like I didn't have a computer until I was 22 years old. You know, so like it's a lot of those things that were like shaped already. So a lot of gratifying moments, and a lot of excitement. It's a new country. It's a big country.
Just kind of immersing yourself in it.
Yeah,
all.
And I embraced it all the way. I never had a problem with being alone at a place, or being at a place that I don't know where I am. You know, like traveling. So I did get to travel a lot around the US and do all those things. So back to the hardship, I guess, the financial one, being away from home, and you know, then with pandemic hitting, it was just a lot of it. And then I feel this kind of creates a little bubble in your mind, like, you know, you're around here and you're thinking school assignments, and you like understand that, you know, you move out here to LA, somebody comes and like pops that balloon for you, and you're not in the Berkeley bubble anymore. You have real bosses, and you know, real stuff to take care of, real jobs, real shows. And so it was really about oh wow, if I thought I was on my own in Boston, now I'm really on my own, you know. So that was definitely hard. And then just how to navigate that, like the real reason why I came here, and making music and staying, true to the art and keep doing it no matter, whatever job you're gonna have to take, or the living situation, how you're gonna get around, like stuff that now seem, pretty self-explanatory, but you move into a new place, everything is like so new and revealed upon you straight on your face, and you just have to figure out how to navigate that. So that was hard. The first 6 months here were pretty hard. Yeah, because I didn't know anybody, and I had to work at a bakery shop or something, and like 10-12 hour shifts, and I would come home and it's no feet. The feet is not happening, So you do that, you cannot necessarily come there and like that was like too hard to push through and try to like stay inspired. Like I just wanted to like lay down, and
Yeah,
so,
you didn't have the energy to come home and compose music.
Yeah, compose, or even go out. Like how
To play.
how you meet people and do all that stuff, which then get you the gigs, which then get you. So it was a train. But looking back to now, 2 years living in Los Angeles, I don't have regrets. Like I don't think, oh, I wish I did that. The first year I moved here. No, because there was a reason why these things had to happen. Like I had to get settled. I had to, find a nice place and make some money through work, and to be able to have that stability and take that, so to speak, that leap of faith where you just kind of move to the next thing, and you think, now I'm going to start going out and doing the gigs, doing the open mics, meeting all those people, getting all these opportunities. And it wasn't forced. It was very organic. It happened very, very organically, and I like to keep it that way. So everything had a perfect timing. I had to go through that harder part of this first 6 months, trying to figure out to see also if like LA is for me. I've met a lot of people that they're like, it's just not for me. It's too big, or I don't like to drive, or the people, the places, whatever. My response to that is that you're not a tree. Like if you nobody plants you there. If you don't want to be there, you can just move and go to another place. So I always like to think about it that way. We're thrown into an opportunity. Even sitting and chatting with you guys today, we never really know what's gonna happen. But I guess just embracing it is like halfway there. So I just embrace it, and I try to make out the most of my time living out here, because I know I'm not gonna be here forever. But it has things to offer me, and I intend to take it upon that.
Yeah. Well, how do you you talked about learning how to navigate, but how do you yourself make those decisions to choose those pathways that like serve your overall vision?
Well, that's a great question. I feel a lot of these things are felt. Now, the art and the arts in general, they get a little bit more fluid and a little bit more easily blended with the branches outside, rather than saying I'm a mathematician, or I'm just some stuff that is a little bit more
rigid.
Yeah. And how do I mean that? I mean, there's just so many like ways you can branch out. For me, I think it's just about finding that fine line between what I wanted to do, what I've been doing for all these years, which is like writing the songs and composing the music and putting all these things together, and being a performer and a player, and then seeing the possibilities. Because if you're like rigid on your mindset, and you're thinking, no, it has to be that gig, this person has to approach me, I have to make like X amount of money per gig, or whatever, this kind of like diva approach at the beginning, that it sets you up for a failure before you have even started. And that's where the open-mindedness came for me, to be able to be open to players, just show up, do my thing, play. Of course, you want to carry a very good performance every time, because that's how people hear you. They say, oh, Pappa D is a very good pianist, or I really like this song, or whatever, and then they just keep coming back. So it's just a matter of consistency, really putting a very, very good performance, And then the rest of the stuff is just being open to that. Because like most of the people here, I would hear, oh, they're closed. They don't want to like engage. They don't want to like follow up. You know, the classic one, oh, let's get coffee or let's do something, man. And just, 5 months later, nothing happened. And I used to believe that at the beginning, I guess. But then I realized if you come in with like a warm heart and like embracing and just approach them and, be nice, like most of the people will want to follow back. They will want to engage. They will want to be vulnerable and share, because they're all here. They kind of want something, and you switch the mentality of, oh, but if you make it, that means I might not make it, or whatever the heck, and just understand that sense of community where meeting people at an open mic or somewhere that I play, if somebody comes to my show, they can come and enjoy the music, and then next thing you know, I get a gig, they're there. They meet somebody through me, then they get a gig, I'm there. And it's just that idea that bringing together up. So I go up, you go up, rather than you go up, I have to push you so I can go up,
Yeah.
And navigating that in combination with the artistry is just that ideally, how do you want your life to be? You want to wake up in the morning, make music, share that music with the world, share the love, be with others, check out others' music, other people's music. So it's just a matter of, if you're around that, then there's vibration about it is created, and that can only get better and better and better. So just playing with other artists, and if it's not my music and I play with somebody, they ask me to play at their song, I'll do that. Maybe they get a show, and there's always a benefit to that. And even if it's not a tangible benefit, just the benefit of playing music and really, really connect with these people at a deeper level.
I know this is something we've talked about a little bit on the show before, is just, sometimes just how important it is to just kind of, show up, be professional, be yourself, make those connections, but in a real way, in a professional way. Because then people, like you said, like, you never know when you're going to play somewhere, and then somebody sees you and you start to build more connections and organic connections, as you said. As for you, as you're kind of navigating and you're building those relationships and you're starting to play more and you're playing with other musicians, did you have like a kind of a set picture or a mindset of kind of what success looks like for you here in Los Angeles?
Wow, that's a great question. I feel that in the back of our heads, we all want something, and we have an idea of how it might look like. Now, I don't know if necessarily we know exactly that if we achieve that, this is going to bring us happiness. And I, after reading a lot and just, being inspired by others who reach that sort of success that I guess me and so many other artists are dreaming about, realize that they all kind of have the same thing to say, that it's not when you arrive there, you're going to find something. So it's not that when I have that $1 million record deal or when I play my first stadium, yeah, it's going to be cool. But I almost have to be prepared and okay with the idea that there's a great probability that this thing will not happen. And that's not because you're not believing in yourself and you're not pursuing your dreams. It has nothing to do with that. It has something to do with how can I build my life today to look like I already am where I want to be. So, and how do I treat every gig, every person I meet, every relationship, with the same love and fulfillment and satisfaction, like when I am going to be wherever I'm going to be, So yeah, we can define that in a sense that, yeah, it would be nice to, play stadiums and be on the road and, do like NPRs and tiny desks and, all sorts of things. But I was thinking about that actually on my way here. I'm thinking, in a sense, a lot of these people, somebody coming to your podcast and they're releasing music and they're playing shows. They're not doing anything different than Harry Styles or Taylor Swift or all the greater ones. It's just the scaling. So I don't know if that's like manifesting or just like really putting the word out there, like really thinking about it. But ideally, I want to be grateful and happy and fulfilled with the life I'm living today. And already, it just makes the process so much easier and so much more enjoyable. I am playing. I'm going to play for 5 people. Tomorrow it might be 500, but you still come back to
what
those
you're doing is
same
the same. The energy is
ethic.
the same. Like you said, it's this, maybe the scale changes, but are you happy, performing and doing music as you are right now?
I'm very happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to answer the second part of your question, saying about the momentum and what was that thing that was fulfilling for me, and would make me say that I found happiness out here in Los Angeles. I told you the first few months was so rough. I didn't really like it out here. I thought it was too big. I said, this is not for me. Like, add the homesick thing on top of that, and you got a perfect stew,
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to navigate that, and I realized the last 6 months that started really escalating for me, shows wise, relationships wise, exploring more of LA, being a tourist in your own city and still want to be curious and explore all these things. It all had to do with these 2 components: just showing up and being really, really good at what you do, and sense of community. That there was a network of people around me that actually care for me. Even if you had to be like, hey, let's grab a beer or do that thing, and you get to know them, you get to talk. People like to talk and share, and you build this connection. And I'm European, like I'm coming from that idea, just out, mingling, just chatting. What's the next thing? And all of these things, besides being unexpected, they're not, so to speak, planned. Like, we don't know, I'm going to do that, and after that gig I'm going to get that gig. So everything kind of gets revealed to you little by little, which is something that I think really changed people. Like after the pandemic, people just didn't plan like 3 years ahead and stuff.
Sure.
So it really, we have big dreams, but the micro scaling, all these little realizations, the gig to gig, doing the sound for gig to gig, what am I going to play, how you put together your set, how you interact with the audience, are you staying and socializing after the gig, like all these little things. It's a micro scaling that made me realize that this is just that, and this is just growing right now on its own, and it's great. I'm not home. When you're home, nothing happens. I'm out there doing it, and I'm open to these opportunities, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Like David Bowie said, I don't know where I'm going, but I promise you it's not going to be boring. So I try to live by that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you moved to Boston and you went to school out there, and then you came out to Los Angeles. What was that decision to move from the East Coast to the West?
It wasn't my decision. No, just kidding. I had my tickets for Nashville. Actually, I was like ready. Yeah, I was like ready to move out there, and had my buddy out there. I was gonna live in a farm, in a little barn the side of the mansion. They had horses and all, and we were supposed to be going out, and I recorded a bunch of albums there, both as a session and my own work, and did a lot of gigs. So I knew that people more organically, like I was doing what I'm doing now in LA 2 or 3 years ago in Nashville, in the same very, very organic manner, where we would go out and very, very embracing community. I'm not necessarily the most country guy you'll meet, but I love folk music, and I love that sense of community. So just all the hangs, the drinking, and for some reason it just fell through. My buddy that we went to Berkeley together is also from Greece, and we used to play back in Greece, and we ended up playing here when I moved. And after we graduated, we spent the summer in Boston, and we were just saying, hey, we have this opportunity to go out to LA, and my friends live here, very close to you guys, actually, in Sherman Oaks, and we have a fixed place, and we could put a band together and start kind of having each other's back. And for some reason, I just embraced that opportunity and moved out here. And it was pretty bad the first few months. I was back and forth in Boston recording, because we could still use Berkeley, the studio. So I recorded a couple of EPs there, and still stayed in touch with my Berkeley friends. And was 1 foot in, 1 foot out of whether I'm going to move to LA. And then once I finally decided to move here officially in November of 21, I met my wife 1 week later.
Oh, really?
So it was just you just never really know how things are happening for you, which is, I think, is a beautiful thing. If you learn how to embrace it and you
be
don't really
open,
get
open and
freaked
flexible
out.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally.
Well, you got your projects that you were working on, your EP that you said you recorded. I kind of want to hear about your songwriting process, how writing things on your own versus co-writing, like how those are different.
Well, I'll tell you this. I've met a lot of artists out here, and we sat down and discussed, and how you meet them outside. It's the musician's version of let's get a coffee is like let's meet and jam and let's write something. I found you would be surprised how resilient and at times resentful artists are to write with other artists. And it's not because they don't want to do it. It's because for some reason all the people that I've been around and interacted with musically just haven't sat and done it. And I sat and thought about it, and I realized there is some sort of hesitation to you sharing your things with another person, but to the writing process itself. Because me playing to you my song right now, the song is done. It's not my kid anymore. I wrote it, I released it, it's out. But putting together the writing process with another person, there's vulnerability to that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of artists are not so prone to giving that up quite yet.
They have those like protective walls, when you feel like something's not ready, you're kind of hesitant to share it even.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're collaborating with someone else, so you're sensitive to that material.
Yeah, exactly. I also think there's a sense of like it's kind of the rough on the edges kind of thing. Like you're gonna have to, I guess, sit in a room and try to write with somebody, and understand that at the beginning it might be rough, it might be magic. Again, it's not something that I'm against, that I haven't done. I guess it just hasn't happened. Schedule picks up, you have all this other stuff happening during the day, and every night you're playing. Like, it's very easy to assume that there's not really going to be a lot of time to sit and do that. I think it's something that I want to come back to it myself, because you asked me about the writing process. So this is the stuff that I'm playing now and recording now. Like, some of them are even 10, 12 years old, So I'm really going back to my older material and realize that it still resonates with me to this day. But the writing process itself has it where I usually write in my travels. So I usually on a plane or on a train or in a new place, and that really, really triggers me artistically almost instantaneously. So I will sit and write while being on the subway in New York, or while I'm on a flight to Chicago or whatever, and that generates material. So I write a lot, actually. Like, I think I'm almost on 1,000 songs, just since I started writing, at least the ones I have out here and organized. And so it's just a lot of material for me to kind of come back, and then usually how I'll do it, that's actually fun. I never share that with anybody. Disclosure. I will usually take the paper with the lyrics, and I'll just lay in the couch or in bed and just kind of like look at it. And this my composition teacher told me. He said, when you're on the piano and you're trying to write, your fingers remember. We've put thousands of hours on the piano or in any instrument that we write, so the fingers remember. So if you want to go really, really deep in the composition and like write from the heart or write from the mind, like write something that you've never written before, it's way harder to achieve it when you go on the piano that your fingers remember. So I would just kind of separate myself and be away from the instrument and just look at the lyrics and just look for a rhythm, look for a phrase, look for a feel. And this you're looking at a paper with a bunch of words. Like, this is kind of crazy, It's like, it's almost as chaotic as trying to do it all at the same time, which is how other people write. I never could really do that. Play some chords and then sing something on top of that. I feel it's too much for me at the same time. So I like to have a system. So these words that I have written, I'm trying to thinking, okay, what did I feel when I wrote that? What do I feel now? Do I want it to, what kind of mood do I want it to have? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it vibey? Am I having too many words? You know what I mean? Like all these things. And then sometimes I might just start like really just get a note or a chord, just look at it and be like, and then this feels right. But I try not to have judgment when I write, both for the lyrics and for the music, because you want to get it out.
Yeah.
You know, you want to get it out, and then go around the edges and start polishing it and stuff. But if you are that type of artist that you really have to get the idea out, and you add judgment, it's gonna block it right away. So I try to get it out, try not to judge it at all, and then just kind of work through it. The phone is always recording. I'm really a big advocate on that. Really, really capturing, because you never...
You like to go back and,
You
rewatch, re-listen as you're working.
Yeah, you just never know. And that going back can be like a minute in. It's just that particular melody or whatever. And like, I have pretty good ears. I can go back and transcribe what I've done. But I need to...
That reference.
I need to write it. Yeah, I need to like put it down, because you might just capture a version of it, like a way you played it. And then you can also look through your versions and see what feels right. And it's nice for me because I'm really big on archiving. I don't think there's a person on this planet that, can have written 1,000 songs and remember them if they don't have some sort of a memo or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I can work on a song from 2014. I'm like, how the heck is that song going? And I just pull that memo and look at the lyrics. I'm like, oh, that's that idea. Oh, at this feel. Do I like that still? No, maybe let's change it. But it's always this keeping it fresh idea. I never lock things to a certain way, and that helps you also in the performance. So when you get to play with
other people,
you play with a trio. Oh, maybe they're not like that funky, and they're more like straight ahead jazz, or they're pop artists. I'm like, oh, let me pull that simply a tune, and just kind of have that guy groove it out, and always being flexible. And I don't see the flexibility as like, no, it's your fault because you're not skilled enough. I see it as it's my responsibility, and I'm actually feeling lucky to be able to hear that song in different ways. So everything is a learning process, and that leaves me that openness and that flexibility. And I've discovered really, really big treasures along that way, just by having this approach, both writing wise and performance wise.
Well, how has having that structure of classical music and jazz composition like helped in your writing today?
Well, I believe that they were big schools. They come from really, really ethic and respect for the music and the deepening of the craft itself. Because what classical musicians have that fascinated me is the ethic for practicing. I say practice now. I didn't say play, but and also the sense of achievement. Like when you work on a crazy hard piece that it's gonna take you 2-3 months to learn, like 3-4 minutes of music. Just like all these things. It really tunes you in with your desires, because like there's no way you're gonna learn that if you don't wanna. Like if you're not willing to sit for 3-4 months and practice just this one piece. You're not going to do it. Like your motives are not there. So for me, classical music, besides the skill, the beauty of it as it is, and the ethic of the practicing is also the sense of achievement. When I take a piece of that, I listen to it, that I'm so enamored by it and I love it. And even the thought of playing it just, gives me all this excitement, but I know I have to go through the barrier. I have to put in the hours. And you get to the end of that and you achieve it, it really builds that sense of confidence. And I call it like some sort of like shield that just comes in front of you and tells you, okay, you got this. And I think we can do that with every little thing, like a little sense of achievement next to each other. Say that we're going to do something and do it. As simple as making our bed, cleaning the dishes, whatever. Mm-hmm. But classical has been a huge part of my life, and I think it really shows out in the music.
And that sense of accomplishment comes from putting in the work and learning the piece and feeling like you learned it and you know it and you can play it versus just people clapping. Like you're getting that self sense of worth out of it.
Yeah, But again, like as when you asked me when I started, making music, and I told you I didn't really like the pieces I was doing at the beginning, and I wasn't practicing. It comes from the fact that I like it. So when you like it, it really expedites the process, and then of course you get more skilled and you know how to do it. But for me, it was always the idea of improvisation. Even if I couldn't like learn the song exactly, I would take it and change it and make it something blended with my own songs, until you start composing and you're like, that's a beautiful song, but Chopin is dead for 250 years now. I'm gonna try and write something like that, and that's when it starts being you and developing that voice. And I never really try to put boxes in between the styles or the genres. So I love classical, and it has inspired me so much and given me all these tools to put in my music. But I equally love jazz music. Now, am I a concert pianist? No. And I knew that I was not going to be one, because I knew that there's too many people out there playing music of people that are no longer here, and they're doing it hundreds of times better than me, Then you have straight ahead jazz, which is traditional jazz, and, bebop and all the newest styles. And you get into funk, you just get into all those things that you find your niche, and you find what kind of suits you and what you're really good at and what feels right. But at the end of the day, all these things are inspiration for a song. I felt that's where was the essence for me. Like, I'm gonna write a jazz song. Like, I might not be the jazziest, most reliable piano player you'll hire, or to carry that specific gig, so to speak, but for me, it's tools. So I know my harmonies, I know my chords, I know my scales and all that kind of stuff, but I never thought I'm going to do that to prove something.
Yeah.
It's something really, really beautiful that I like to say here that it really resonated with me. It's a quote by Bob Ross, like the painter and stuff. And we had him in Greece. I would watch him as a kid a lot. And he said, you have 2-3 colors, like, you draw only with these 3 colors. You can draw a lot of beautiful stuff with these 3 colors. He said the real artistry is to be able to have the full palette, have all of the colors, and choose these 3 colors. So the first thing has to do with necessity, because you need these 3 colors because that's all you have. The second thing has to do with choice. And I just felt I wanted to remain curious and get all these tools. Jazz, you got it. Classical, you got it. Rock and singer-songwriters and the folky stuff, the poets, anything that can give me these tools to have more ideas. So the creative process, it can flow. Like, I need to hear that sound. If you cannot hear it, you cannot play it. If you cannot visualize it, you cannot like write it. You know what I mean? So it's all that idea that I'm thinking, if I never learned that chord, how the heck am I going to put it in a song? So it's just that idea of pulling out that from the material. I'm thinking, I know that sound. I kind of like that sound. Or I didn't think this sound would fit so good with that sound, but I like it. So everything becomes, just kind of creates that connection in your brain. That sound fits with that sound. Oh, I never played that way, but this kind of feels right. And it's all a learning, a constant learning, and remain curious and not falling into. I have no problem with the 4-chord songs. I have 4-chord songs, but it's just that idea that, do you do that because you really like those 4 chords, or is just this the only 4 chords, And there's no problem with that. I don't diminish, a simple song. Like, a simple song can still be equally impactful. I just want to be aware of what I'm doing it and when I'm doing it, and think that I want to do that because I can express myself with this little material, and it just conveys a message. So everything just becomes, I guess, more intentional, so to speak.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's no barriers in the styles. It's jazz, it's classical, it's whatever it is. Usually I get complimented on the delicacy, I guess, of my playing, and how the fingers are moving, and how it can be powerful, so to speak, moving around the keyboard, but at the same time, a certain sound that is a little bit more on the jazzy side. And I guess because jazz is more contemporary, so to speak, than classical. creating a more newer and sense of connection to somebody who's going to listen to something that is more relevant than, being like, oh, this sounds like Mozart. Not necessarily, but the harmony's there. So, yeah.
Well, what kind of stuff are you working on recently?
I've been pretty busy up until the mid of this year, releasing a lot of like classically inspired music. So that's instrumental piano. And this is the stuff that actually did way better on Spotify up until mid-March. Like I had almost 70,000 monthly listeners by January, because some of these songs placed on the chill playlist and study and relax with Spotify or what have you. And it was a very, very fun experience for me to sit and do like a lot of preludes and nocturnes, and this is just all types of classically inspired compositions for the piano. And I've been doing that, and I got a lot of material recorded up until that time, and then I had a lot of travels. So a lot of travels meant a lot of lyrics. So this is now what I'm primarily working is putting all those lyrics into songs, and with the momentum now, just playing all these shows and going out every night. It's more about really taking out, I guess, existing songs that I have that are finalized and they feel good and they sound good, and just take them out and play them and share them with the world, and always find a little time to squeeze that one song that would have been the B-side, or the song that wouldn't necessarily place on the charts and stuff, but you just really love on the album. Like it's not the top hit, it's that one little hidden gem. And I try to keep it flexible, bringing out all these different songs. So the focus is very, very much performing solo or with other artists, and I just put the band together, the Pappa D, like band, so to speak. And we the goal is to start like playing, and this is more like venues and more like bringing in the community of other bands rather than solo individual artists. So we can be booking nights at places where it's like 4 or 5 bands, and you book the night, and you just so I feel that would be kind of like the next step, keeping it flexible, playing on my own, of course, and then just getting these opportunities to bring the band together, because a lot of people have been hearing me play solo, but they want to hear the full sound. So it's just something that I'm looking into doing.
Cool.
Well, you're building the band. You're very busy playing, on your own with other people. As you said, you kind of like to be open, take the opportunities as they come, and kind of grow organically, which I think is great. Where can people go to find what's coming, what's up next? If they want to come check you out, listen to you,
to the shows and stuff. Yeah. Well, I tried to do that whole thing with many other platforms. I think it's really hard to keep up with everything. I definitely did get a little bit more meticulous and active than before, but I still try not to spend so much time with it. I am more active on Instagram. This is when I share all my shows and my information and upcoming releases and all that kind of stuff, which is Pappa D Music. So, Papa, like with 2 P's, Pappad, music. And there's a picture of me, long ass hair, you cannot miss it. It's, and then YouTube, I guess, where I share more like the live shows and full shows, which is not like the craziest editing, and I don't do really like vlogging, or like I try not to spend again time on it. It's just it's not in my immediate plans to go viral on YouTube, if we can announce that officially. It's more of, again, like with Spotify, it's more of a catalog that you can go and check it out there and see, oh, he has that music and then he has that thing, and just shuffle it and kind of make your own experience out of it. Like it's not that, oh, I have this one single that is like a bomb and it's the only thing there and you can go and listen to it. There's like over 900 songs out there for you to just go and like make what you want of it. And you want to go more mellow, want to hear something a little bit more upbeat, hear my voice, don't hear my voice. So there's a lot of, but it's some sort of like a catalog, because then I also apply for a lot of funds and a lot of like artist programs and residencies, and it's nice because I can just go on YouTube and get that link and just send it, and just ways to automate it. Not because I'm lazy, but just I want to have
Just
as
simplify
much
the
time
process and keep the focus on what's important.
and keep the focus on what's important. Because your career starts escalating a little bit, and at least from the friend group, people will be like, oh, maybe considering getting a manager or an agent or a publicist or what have you. I am getting to know about those things. I don't know that much about it yet, but I thought that I did a lot of research, and I was thinking it's nice to go through all these seats and wear all the hats, and not just because you're a control freak and you want to know exactly what's going on, but you just want to know when that person approaches your life, what do you want to ask of them?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you have a piece that you want to play from
your phone? Do you have something you want to share? Or a snippet that you'd like us to share?
Yeah. Well, this song kind of, again, talking about the game and all the stuff that is not relevant to music but affect music. I wasn't really aware of how you go and like pitch songs for playlists and all that kind of stuff and listeners, and how I could have almost like 70,000 monthly listeners by January, and now like it dropped to like 1,200. It just ebbed and flowed in a way that it was very inconsistent for me, and so it's also like learning the process through that. But Afloat was something that I did almost as a joke, and overnight, I don't really know where it playlisted or what happened. Like overnight, it got like 25,000 streams.
Huh.
So that was a very nice, pleasant surprise for me. And it's not really what I do is more like on the contemporary side. But you wake up in the morning and you write, and you have no idea what you're gonna write. So I don't know. Should I just put it by the microphone?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Let's listen.
Let's see.
Very colorful. Yeah.
Thank you.
That.
So that was. It's just more some of the things that some of them you think a little bit more, some others not so much. This one was just found like a drum beat that I liked, and I just put these chords and stuff. So you just never know.
Yeah.
I say that all the time, but it's really like for me to establish that as a way of going by my life. It really opened up insane opportunities for me. Insane for myself as well, because you set the barrier for yourself. You're like, beats, I'm not gonna do that. Oh, lo-fi, what the heck is that? That's too whatever for me. Well, I'm not gonna do it. It's just you set up yourself for failure,
limiting yourself that way.
Yeah, it's just that. So now it might not be the slappiest beat you ever heard or whatever, but I like when I come from that idea, like you cannot really be hurt by the judgment because you set up the intentions yourself from the beginning. So you like it, cool. You don't, cool. Like I know how I made it. I know with the intentions that I made it, and that really keeps you fresh. It's and then it's just off to the next thing. What's the next song? Like, because you cannot hoard into them. We have like no control. Once it's out, it's out. So I wanna be proud of them, but also you understand that it's done. It's now we're off to the next song.
Yeah.
I don't like to go sit and heavy too much, because then I start to lose that freshness. So there's momentum, and when you're going with momentum, like really great things can happen, rather than just sitting in it and why doesn't it feel right? How it should feel right. No, make it feel right. You know?
Yeah. And also, when you release something, and it's out in the world, it's not just a part of you anymore. It's a part of someone else, you know, and
Mhm.
it becomes like their experience too. And I think, yeah,
Totally.
that's what it's all about.
And then you're kind of giving up control a little bit at that point too, you know, letting other people experience it the way they experience it. You can only do so much at that point, like
Yeah.
to just kind of, yeah, like you said, on to the next thing, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
for sure.
everybody's gonna like it. Like I'm okay with that.
Mm.
But I also, to be really honest with you, I don't even like think about it in that sense. Like I was thinking, I'm just more happy that you guys got to listen to that rather than think, oh, like what is like Mark's gonna think, what is like
Mm.
I don't know, they're gonna like it, because I feel that doesn't have to do with, it's out of my power anymore, first of all, and second, there's so much saturation. I had 49 seconds of your life listen to my music in a era where there's 60,000 songs being released on Spotify every day. So if I start thinking how to like I cut through that, like all the salmons trying
The
to jump
noise.
up the water and stuff,
Mhm.
it's just too much. So we have to understand like what are the intentions, like why are we doing it, and if I have to write a song, I'm gonna have to write a song. So that process, it's, I guess, what kind of makes you kind of keep sticking with it is the fact that you stuck with it longer than others. Like others just think like, oh, it's not gonna happen for me. They have it as a hobby, whatever. Everybody has their own intentions, and again, I'm not like judging it. I believe that music can bring a lot of joy and life to people, and you can do it, and you can just go to that open mic and sing that Nirvana song that you were vibing as a teenager and just be jolly and happy, and that's totally okay. But if I want to take it seriously, not necessarily take myself seriously, but if I want to make a living out of that, and I want to make music all day until the rest of my days, like I want to do that, like you have to show up. You have to show up for yourself first. It's not, oh, I don't feel like writing today. If you're an accountant or you work a day job, like you cannot say, oh, I don't feel like working today, you're fired. You know what I mean? But you establish that on your own, and I feel a lot of artists like don't necessarily talk about that. They're like, oh, I was inspired by that and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, but that's nice, sweet little surface of it. And I like to dig deep and see the favorite artists and writers that I have, even the older ones from like the American songbook, like Gershwin and all that kind of stuff, and Duke, and they would say, they would like write, some of them they would write 10 songs a day. How many of them succeeded?
Mm-hmm.
Not that many, but these are songs that lasted for 100 years. Have been done all over. They've been done in Broadway. They've been done by jazz ensembles. They're like jazz standards. Like they teach them at schools. They like there's like they lasted the test of time, and they're gonna be here for a while. So they did something right, because it wasn't about that one day that I'm really gonna feel it and I'm gonna get that song and it's gonna be the masterpiece. I mean, the newest one that comes to my mind that was literally saying that in an interview was Ed Sheeran. Like, write the bad songs, weed out the generate the inspiration. Just throw out the weeds, and every song's gonna keep getting better. Yeah. So that's how I choose to think about it.
All right. Well, thank you, Pappa D. Thanks for coming out to the podcast.
Yeah.
Check out Pappa D on Instagram, YouTube. Look out for all the new shows, new music.
Yeah. And thank you guys. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for having me. It's actually the first podcast that I do where, it's like real in person and we sit and talk, and there's cameras and stuff. Usually it's just like audio, so I'm like with pajamas laying down. No, I'm just kidding.
We appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you
being here.
guys. Thank you so much.